Hey all, small problem on Cory's end during the recording of this one. His audio file got corrupted, so we lost his side of the recording. I have the audio recording from our video call that I used in the episode, and I think it sounds all right, but we were having some connection difficulties, so he cuts out a little bit. Just wanted to give you a heads up there, but I still think it's a great episode. We're talking about the DCU announcements from James Gunn yesterday. So, still give it a listen. Don't forget, like and subscribe if you're on the YouTube. Check all that good stuff. I'm going to give all that spiel in a second anyway. So I'm just going to throw it over to the episode. Enjoy.
Sweet Christmas.
Shout out to my birds.
Hello. This is Che.
This is Cory.
And this is the Next Time On Podcast, a podcast where two lifelong friends discuss all things amazing and all things vetted in popular culture. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, imagine if instead of teaming up, I'm not even going to cut it out. We're just going to keep running. Fuck it. Instead of teaming up to fix DCEU, James Gunn and Peter Safran teamed up to fix comic book podcasts instead. Is that fair, Cory?
That's fair. How about this? I don't think there's an official name going forward for the DCEU. So how about can we just call it the DCU? Because I'm tired of saying DCEU.
I never really understood the E. So for those of you who don't know, DCEU stands for DC Extended Universe.
Which makes no sense.
But what was it extended from? And what's the main universe?
So let's just say, for all intents and purposes, until someone gives us another name.
Is maybe DCU like something already? So if I Google DCU.
It's a thing now. The Next Time On Podcast has now created the whole, now it is the DCU, just to make things easy.
So if I Google DCU, what comes up first is Digital Federal Credit Unit, which is DCU.org. But then the next thing that comes up is a bunch of stories about the DCEU, just all calling it the DCU now. And
there we go.
And then third is my hometown team, the DC United. So it's
of course. I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they definitely had a lot. They had a lot of place to stake their claim on DCU a long time ago. I'm not really sure. I guess because they were like, was it supposed to be to distinguish it between the TV show and the movies, which had been ongoing for a while before that?
Maybe that was a reason.
And still to this day, like, have their own following that I just don't understand. Like, they're all so bad.
I think the thing about it now is like they canceled everything. They're all done.
They're all
done. Even like the ones that I felt like were good, like Doom Patrol's over. What other good DC shows?
We'll be covering the second half of the Doom Patrol final season.
We will. I mean, the final season though. Like this is the final season. So I mean, like, but I'm trying to think of the other good DC shows, and I'm like, I don't think there's any other good DC shows.
Well, obviously Peacemaker, but that's part of this whole
Peacemaker, thing, right? Yeah, but I think Peacemaker's going to survive.
Yeah. I cannot wait in that I can wait. I'm not looking forward to this at all, but for the like weird contingent of CW show fans to come out of the woodwork and be like, Melissa Benoist should be Supergirl in the movie, even though one, she's a terrible actress.
Yeah,
and
no offense.
It was like nobody watched the TV show, so clearly there's not like a demand for her to be in these movies.
Listen, I drunkenly watched the first season, and halfway through, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? And I finished the first season, and I'm like, no, we respect ourselves too much to watch the second season of this show.
Critics' Choice Television Award for Most Exciting New Series, so that's egg on our faces. We're wrong.
What, Supergirl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Beat out Aquarius, a show I've never heard of. American Crime Story in 2015, which I think was the second season, which is not a good season of TV. And Minority Report, the Megan Good Fox show, based on, I guess, the movie. I've never seen it. So.
Yeah, I didn't know they were making a TV show off of that. But let's not talk about that stupid shit. And I thought you actually were going to go into this, Joe. We're just going to jump into this. We don't really know what kind of episode this is going to be.
Let's do a couple points of business up top.
Yes, please do a couple of business before I just start going crazy.
Because as usual, we need you guys to do a few things for us. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're on the YouTube channel. It pains me to say that because I sound like Logan Paul, but you have to do it. You have to do it. It really helps us out. Helps people find us. And the YouTube channel is good shit. If you're not on the YouTube channel, go scroll down to the link in the description, go over there, drop a subscribe. And don't forget, you can check us out at Next Time On Pod, social media platforms. And last but not least, check out nexttimeon.net for all of our archived writing, all of our podcasts, all that good stuff. I've got some stuff coming soon. I've started working on it. But next episode, if you're listening to this before that's dropped, is going to be Swordfish, The Curse of the Rewatch.
Yeah, we had to stop ourselves because we're going to record that behind the curtain. We're recording that episode right after this one, and we were like just straight up losing our minds. So that's going to be a fun episode, guys.
Yeah, it's quite a film.
Do not remember that movie. I'm not going to say go watch it, but it honestly, it was an experience watching that.
I mean, it's weird to think that like that was like a phenomenon in a way. I mean, the movie is incredibly unsuccessful, but obviously it was like a big deal. Compared to...
I didn't know that. I remember hearing about it, but maybe because it was just everyone saw Halle Berry's boobs.
Yes. I mean, that was the thing. It was like a news story. This is anecdotally. We were 8 at the time, but I have heard mostly from Bill Simmons on the Bill Simmons podcast, who talks an awful lot about Halle Berry's nudity, I have to say, about how it was just like a news story and part of the marketing for this movie. And still, this movie kind of underperformed, to be honest. Made its money back, but it made less money in 2001 than the film Deep Throat. So you do with that information what you want.
I don't think there's any other words I have for that until later on. If you look at audience, you should tune in for our podcast recording onto YouTube, because you can see how big my glass is, and we're gonna see how low it gets by the end of this recording. But not this specific one, because I'm actually, for the first time in a long time, I'm actually excited about DC non-comic book media. And I kind of feel like James Gunn kind of gave me everything I wanted. And I think he finally listened to our podcast and he was like, this guy knows what the fuck he's talking about. Maybe we should listen to him and make our content surrounding what he likes.
So for those of you who didn't see, James Gunn came out and just announced a ton of TV shows, a ton of movies, and some just general information about what the DCU is going to be like going forward. We're going to go over all that news, but it is a lot. And
it's a lot of stuff. I was only expecting maybe 4 movies. I didn't expect for him to basically, and apparently this isn't everything.
No,
so, I mean, I'm sure we wouldn't get that for a while, but no, I don't think so either. But it's still this is a lot of content that I was surprised that he laid out in front of us. But I guess to start it off with, I thought you were actually going to lead into this because this is the last year, and it's kind of ambiguous about what's going to happen in this last year of the previous regime's DC content. So this year we have shortly coming up. I don't actually remember which month it is. We have Shazam 2.
Is March.
We got Shazam in March. We have The Flash later this year, and I think we're ending the year with Aquaman 2.
Is there? I know I'm asking you to make a ridiculous prediction, but is there any way any of those movies are good?
I think I was a lot more higher on the first Shazam than you were.
I don't know. I'm not down. I think it's fine. I think it's a 5.
No, I think it's fine. I think the first Shazam was a very fun movie, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing a sequel to it. Mm-hmm. So I think that one will actually, because I think the first Shazam is not a great movie, but I think it's a solid movie. Aquaman, the first one, was fun. Not a good movie though.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Also,
and I enjoyed watching it, but it was not.
Is what's her name in it?
A good movie. I don't think she is. Or maybe she. I mean, okay. That's the thing. Look, it's funny though about these movies is we've seen a lot of Shazam stuff, and I think The Flash is coming out this summer. We have not seen a single thing about The Flash, but that makes sense because we have the Ezra Miller elephant in the room,
who is going to be in that movie. As far as
he's going to be in the movie, he's not going to jail. I think he took a picture in public last week, so I guess rich people can get away with doing insane things. I guess.
I don't. I honestly have sort of checked out from that story, so I have.
Yeah,
I just decided to have no opinions on it until it's over, and then I'll read. I probably won't read about it. I just don't care.
Sum it up. He's a bad dude who's committed crimes and got away with it. He's a bad dude, and he also. I don't think he's a good actor, but that's just besides the point right now. But James Gunn kind of did come out immediately and said that this would be the reset button for, let's just call it what it is, Zack Snyder's mess.
Oh no! You
Um,
you've
I mean,
invited the wrath
basically,
of the Zack Snyder. Listen, I'm agreeing with you,
please,
but
please come tell me that I'm please.
I have to say, I think it is clearly this is on Zack Snyder's head. Probably he probably bears most of the blame, but it's also clear that a lot of this was like some Warner Brothers and DC
Oh,
studio execs
absolutely.
making him do a lot of shit he didn't want to do. Because at the very least, it's been well documented that Suicide Squad was like, if he had had his way, would have been a
Talking
different
about
movie.
talking about David Ayer there, but yes, he's come out and said that
No, but I
repeatedly.
think even like clearly, I mean, yes, David Ayer is directing, but I just when Zack Snyder had his hands on the DC universe, Suicide Squad was supposed to be like this dark follow up to Batman
and
versus Superman.
and then they clearly saw Guardians of the Galaxy, like we want that movie,
Right.
and everyone's. But it's like that doesn't really make sense because these are very different characters, and
Right,
I
it's
just
also
think like
how I don't understand how that movie could have been a dark movie. It doesn't make any sense. There's a fucking shark.
yeah,
man.
like or at least like I mean the
No, Sharkman wasn't in the first one, was he? He was in the
no
second.
no Sharkman's in the good Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a crocodile man.
there's Crocodile Man who's kind of racist because he wants to watch
Racist.
BET.
He's definitely
You-
racist.
Why would you only want BET
He's
in any universe? Like it's like what channel do you want? I only want BET.
Is there a way for me to see what's currently playing on BET right now?
I'm sure you can look it up.
I really want to know.
But yeah, so basically right now we're losing. Okay, I mean apparently Aquaman's reaped something better, but maybe Jason Momoa is sticking around for Aquaman. I've also seen weird rumors that he might end up being Lobo, so I guess we'll see about that. But let's start it off with the first announcement on it. We have a strange animated series, Creature Commandos, which is apparently written by Gunn. But I think this is also part of it that they're going to be using the same. They're going to try to use the same actors across as many mediums as possible, which I think is actually a pretty interesting idea and a kind of a cool way to kind of keep the story, like if we want to make a big story kind of going. But I can't think of a much more James Gunn idea to start off with, which is picking a bunch of characters that I really have not really a lot of I guess like I don't want to say relevancy, but it's like I only really know Frankenstein
I think
out of this lineup.
it's also it's supposed to be starring, like she's voice acting Viola Davis, right?
That's in Waller.
But I thought I saw Creature Commandos was also voice acted.
I mean, if she's gonna be in the, I think I mean, honestly, it's like if the character's in Creature Commandos, I think the idea now is that Viola Davis should be voice acting her
Yeah.
because it's supposed to all take place in the same universe.
Which it is like, yeah, okay,
It's
great,
ambitious.
great synergy, I guess. But I'm with you. Like, who wanted this? It's like if Marvel kicked off their Disney Plus shows with What If, is what it seems like.
Yeah. I don't really know if this is actually going to be the first one because I feel like Waller's actually been in production for a while. At least I was under the assumption of that. Waller's also like another spinoff. I'm not sure if this is replacing Peacemaker season 2, but at least it's going to be a spinoff of Peacemaker.
Which I
Apparently, it's
think
starring
the first season
a lot of the same
Peacemaker
cast.
pretty clearly teased. Like we got a lot of Waller talking
Yeah.
to her daughter, and
Especially the way that it ended as well,
Yeah.
where it seems like Viola Davis, but Amanda Waller might be on the run because she has a secret superhero team where she was threatening people with bombs in their head to do things.
I mean, I listen. I love Viola Davis. I do think her character is a big part of like, is it a big symptom of the problems I had with the DC universe before Zack Snyder before James Gunn got his hands on it, and I'm surprised that she's sticking around.
See, okay, here's my counterpoint to you on that. I felt that Viola Davis, Amanda Waller was one of the only characters that the DC movies got right before, like basically before the Suicide Squad. I felt like, at least to me, Amanda Waller has always been a bastard. And I think Viola Davis just was a very good version of that. I mean, like my only experience with Amanda Waller is through like the really good Justice League cartoon, where she kind of played the same character who was just an all-around asshole, but had her like hands and everything. She's a villain.
Yeah.
I mean, like in the comics and the TV show. So I mean, like I don't know what you do with that character because I think that character works so well when there's just like she's just the bad guy. She's the antagonist. She's the worst part in relation to a group of bad guys. So I don't exactly know what they do with this character. I mean, obviously I'm saying this while also watching Andor, where at least Che and I were like, what the fuck is this show even going to be about? So I'm happy to be proven wrong. And I mean,
I do think we should temper our expectations slightly if we're talking about it. And there's like the best Star Wars thing ever. I'm not really sure.
no, absolutely. I'm just saying that we thought the idea of this TV show was dumb.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least like apparently looking at it now though is like the writers, or is it going to be the writers from Watchmen and another writer, the creator of Doom Patrol, is both involved. And both of those, I mean, Watchmen itself could just stand on its own foot about how good it was. So I'm like, I don't want to say, I mean, like, you know, I'm excited for it. I thought there would be a sequel to Peacemaker, but I'm not really sure what's going on there. But I guess we'll see.
I mean, isn't there still supposedly a Peacemaker season 2? Like it got renewed.
That's what I thought. So yeah, I remember
put on
that.
hold, but I don't know if that means it's not coming back.
Yeah, I just thought it was already in production. Honestly, I was kind of like, oh, that's going to come out later this year. That was my.
It's possible they shot all the stuff that's going to be in Waller instead. So
that's very true.
Could have been in production, just been pivoted.
All right, let's talk about another TV show today coming up. The things that they described it as Paradise Lost. As James Gunn pitched it, Game of Thrones, but set on Themyscira, the island where Wonder Woman is from.
This is the one that worries me the most.
This one sounds a bit out there.
Mostly because I don't think you can make a Game of Thrones style show in the DC universe. I don't think Warner Brothers or DC will let you do that. As dark as they want to get, like they're not going to be Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with the kind of keep it together, because Watchmen was allowed to be its own thing because people, I mean, first of all, Watchmen is a mature comic book just from it is. And then it's also not really connected to anything.
It's the same thing with like the Joker, which is clearly like very different tonally than a lot of this other stuff that the DC's doing, but it gets,
which is, I mean, that's what I'm happy about. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm happy about. Like, I'm happy about that in Batman, the Batman Part 2 basically being its own thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, now it's just like, oh, they're doing its own thing. This is fine.
I like that, yes. But what does it mean that that Batman, the character, will never be in the DCU?
Well, no, Che, because you're making me jump all over the goddamn place, Che.
Keep going.
I had structure with this, but okay. Themyscira sounds weird. I don't really know what's going to happen with it. So now, speaking of Batman, we also have The Brave and the Bold, which is supposedly going to be the DCU's Batman.
Oh, I thought that was the name.
It is the name.
I thought that was the name of the Batman movie.
No. There is The Batman Part 2 starring Robert Pattinson.
I was confused by the announcement. I thought this was just I thought we were just revealed the name of the next Matt Reeves Batman movie, but that's not
No. Apparently it's just being titled The Batman Part 2.
Okay.
But The Brave and the Bold is going to be the introduction allegedly for the DCU's Batman, but also the introduction
played by a different person. This is my problem with this shit.
See, let me fucking talk for like, I'm just kidding. Yes. So I guess that's going to be the only reason I'm like, it's not going to get confusing is because one, we're going to have a Batman who's older than Robert Pattinson, simply because the secondary part of The Brave and the Bold is going to be Damian Wade, who is the fourth Robin, but also Batman's son. So, I mean, I buy that. By all of that, just statement, the Batman has to be like at least in his 40s.
Right.
In this case. But also because, I mean, like they're probably going to make Damian like a teenager. There's no way they're going to make him an actual 10-year-old. That would be insane. But I'm assuming at least to this one, I feel like they might at least go with this. It's based off the Grant Morrison run, which is at least like to me is probably my favorite Batman run. Yeah, it probably is my favorite Batman run. It's fucking amazing. But most of that comic very much focuses on Batman, Damian Wayne, who's the son of him and Talia, through dubious, not great means, and also Nightwing as like a third character because Batman dies, so you know the whole fucking thing.
Which I imagine Batman's not.
I guess at least my idea behind what this. No, at least I mean that's what it is, Zack Snyder.
Well, it's also like what a if they do, honestly, I'd be impressed. What an incredible move to start your Batman,
kill him,
DCU, kill him, and then
have him replaced with Dick Grayson. Yeah. But I guess like to my idea behind this, maybe it's a bit more of an ensemble film, because I think James Gunn kind of mentioned like the Bat family. So I mean, they kind of like at least to me, you can't do the story without Dick Grayson. You can't do these two characters without Dick Grayson. I mean, Jason Todd he could be a corpse somewhere. That's fine. listen, like leave the door open for Red Hood down the line. Leave that fucking story. That's a great
It does
storyline
seem like
if
this
you
is
wanna
going
go
to be
that.
like the Batman is going to be the movie. It's going to be a bunch
Yes.
of different Batman, and probably not Bruce Wayne will probably not be the main character, or if he is, he'll be one of a ensemble cast. I'm with you there.
And I think that's a better idea. Like when we read last year, Robin and Batman by Jeff Lemire and with art by Dustin Nguyen, where the story was like it was Robin's story where Batman's like the secondary character. And I think you and I both have had this conversation about the apprehension when it comes to child actors, but I think there's a really interesting take they can do with this. With how depending on how they play this, I think it's a really great and strong storyline to grab from, but it's just also very difficult because that story itself was even longer than another movie that they've also announced, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, where we were talking. I was telling you about this. And I also was thinking about this afterwards, where he mentioned because the story itself takes place over 12 issues.
Yeah.
It's a Tom King miniseries. It was in Che's and I's top 10 from last year's comics. And how that book itself is like kind of, at least in my mind, I was kind of thought of it as a Western, very like kind of inspiration from, it's not True Grit. Am I thinking about True Grit or Another Moon?
I mean, True Grit is a Western. I don't know if that's the one you're thinking of.
Well, I'm thinking about like she goes to find someone to help her get
Oh yeah,
revenge.
yeah,
Is
that's
that True Grit? Yeah. So it's like True Grit with Supergirl. So I mean, like, and I kind of was hoping that was going to be a series. So I went back and saw that it was going to be a movie.
Yeah, I mean this is the thing that I expressed slight concern about this because I love this book so much. I reserve my official feelings on it until we hear the creative team behind it. But I'm with you. I just think that book should be a show.
It should be because it's just it works so well as a slow burn and like kind of seeing how the story's unfolding and especially the way that it's told through another secondary character. I mean, this is the same thing kind of with The Brave and the Bold, where the secondary character could be a really good driving force, especially because first we're so familiar with Batman, but also I think a really cool eye to look at Supergirl as an introduction and not just have her be Superman's cousin.
I think this is. Am I crazy to think this is a weird movie to introduce a character with?
Okay. On one hand, yes. I just think it's going to be interesting to me how we get introduced to Supergirl because I think the way that he was describing, James Gunn was describing his Superman movie, Superman Legacy. It seems like it's not taking place in like an origin movie. It doesn't seem like it's like early Clark Kent. It's very much like maybe him in mid like Superman. And maybe that's also a case where we could just already have Supergirl existing there because it's really something that do we need to actually like draw it out and how do we explain it? We could just do 2 minutes of being like, this is Supergirl. She's in the movie and this is who she is. And then have her fuck off and do her own story. Yeah. I don't know though. But I think I do agree with you though, because on one hand, I mean, look at Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Like, are you and I, like, I know her origin, but it's not really super like important to that story.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And I think that like the whole point of view character from Supergirl is also that character learning about it. And part of me also like knows this probably came about because he was just reading a lot of comic books last year, that Supergirl was just one of the more popular comics of last year, that he probably just ended up liking it and thinking like, oh, this could be a fun movie to make. And I'm actually happy that they're bringing, I don't really know of Tom King's like screen work. I actually even looked up if he has done like any official screen work.
I think when we did the whatever the most recent Tom King book club was, I think we talked about that he hadn't actually had any screenwriting credits yet. So.
Yeah, I mean, so I know he's involved in this. And I think that's what I'm very interested to see how this works out because I think.
Oh, sorry, hold on. I just Googled Tom King to see if he had an IMDb, and I'm assuming I don't know who these people are, but there is a headline that showed up as a top news story on Google. James Gunn's DCU slate features Tom King as one of the chief architects. A massive red flag for any DC fan. What are you talking about?
Fuck off.
What are you talking about, Doug?
People still have that whole. No, it's because it's Heroes in Crisis in his Batman run. That's what people have a hard on against Tom King about. But it's like, no, but I mean, like, listen to me, like, you know me, longtime listeners, you know my weird triggering event about Heroes in Crisis, how much I hate that comic book and it fucking sucks so fucking much. But I think, I mean, at the same time, like Tom King is we actually have an argument sometimes where it's like, we can't talk about another Tom King book. We can't talk about another Jeff Lemire book. So, and I think I own all of his miniseries like in my library right now, and I have no room for books. I'm just a psychopath. So So that person who wrote that article is a fucking idiot.
I just like this is what I hate comic book fans. I fucking hate them. I hate talking to them. Anytime somebody finds out I read comic books, I just lie to them. I go, oh no. This is my first time.
Why do you think Che and I do this? It's like because we were able to create our own digital bubble to not have to involve ourselves with other comic book fans.
They're less prevalent, so it doesn't affect my life as much. But comic book nerds and gamers are the two worst groups of human beings on planet Earth, and I just want to be so far away from them any way I can. But sorry, I just think it's like this crazy article.
Well, no, it's kind of the whole point of like people making things their personality. And if someone introduces themselves as being a comic book fan, to me personally, it's like more of that like weird hidden thing where I'm like, yeah, I read comics, and it's just like you gotta look in their eye because sometimes their eyes just go like, oh, or it's just like, oh, that's cool. It's like your hobby. I'm like, it's not my hobby. I just like them. It's just like, listen, I am a much more well-rounded person. Just the fact that I like to read picture books.
Yeah, but that is our identity. So.
Yeah, I know we do a fucking podcast about it, so it's like you just don't want to you don't want to walk through the door with that.
We have to hide our red flags from all the people we meet.
Listen, I think Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow can go in one. It's just I think it can either be a massive disappointment or it could be really fucking good.
I think
I'm worried about it. And Che, you did mention the Love and Thunder.
DCU though, right?
Yes,
all of these things could be amazing or terrible, and I'm equally excited and worried for all of it. Yes. But as you said, it's one of the best books of last year. It's an incredible source material. It would be, I was gonna say hard to fuck it up, but that's not actually true. It won't be hard to fuck it up, but
it would be very easy to fuck it up.
Yeah, I have a feeling that this will be good.
Let's hop over to let's do like a weird one. Okay, The Authority. Didn't expect this one.
Yeah, and it's a movie, which is even weirder.
It's a movie. Because, like, okay, so The Authority
Does anybody know who Wildstorm is?
We do. We do.
Okay, sure. But does anybody else know who Wildstorm is?
Okay, so Wildstorm, Stormwatch, The Authority. It's a very hard thing to Google because I honestly was like, wait, I read, like, so it's one of those things where I read this book pretty early on in my comic book reading days. So this was probably back when I was in high school. And I liked this comic book when I was in high school because it is very, very big edgelord comic. Yeah. Like, I think Mark Miller wrote one of the best arcs of it, if that makes sense. Mark Miller wrote Kick-Ass and Watchmen. No, I'm sorry. So sorry. Kick-Ass and Wanted. Both are some of the most insane books.
Imagine Mark Miller's Watchmen. What a book.
Ooh, that would be horrible. I mean, that's basically Zack Snyder's Watchmen, so you know it's the same fucking thing.
There's be a lot more blue penises in that one.
Jesus Christ. But I mean, like, not really much to say about The Authority. Basically, they're the morally gray Justice League. With nothing wrong with this, but it is the comic book that famously had the Batman, Superman stand-ins be in a relationship. Nothing gets that. Midnighter and Apollo were fucking fantastic characters, and I think Che and I read a really good. It was a Wildstorm or The Authority revival a couple years ago that like got
one of our earliest comic books on the podcast.
Yeah, and it was really good. It just got canceled. But
I honestly got caught up in that whole like reboot after Rebirth thing that DC did, where they because it was like an Elseworlds.
Yeah. It was an Else. I mean, also like with this comic book, it was already its own Elseworlds thing for a long time. So. I think it existed really well in that because it was so fringe and like a bit unhinged and a lot more adult. Because like Wildstorm's similar to their Vertigo line, where it was kind of like their rated R comic book line, so they can get away with a lot of stuff.
This smells a bit like the Eternals, where like here's this superhero team that most people probably don't know. We're gonna, try to introduce a lot of information in one movie. And it could fail.
Oh, I can't wait for? The Republicans are going to be so mad about Batman and Superman kissing.
You know what? I think it's over for the Republicans. I think they're just mad about everything now.
Yeah, and that's awesome. This is going to piss them. I mean, like the fucking Eminem got them so mad.
They fucking lost their shit about Eminem.
And, like Batman and Superman are about to make out, and this is going to be great. Yeah. Excited to see Midnighter on screen. He's basically Batman who murders people, but not that crazy.
This also, I mean, the other thing that it reminds me of obviously is this could be them capitalizing on the insane popularity of The Boys.
I think this I always felt like
DC's The Boys.
Authority is always in my mind has been like, this is what The Boys wishes it was.
Yeah.
And that's kind of always felt about
people love The Boys. They think it's the best show ever.
Let's not get into that. All right. As we're supposed to make this short, so we're gonna keep it moving. Let's talk about Lanterns. So as James Gunn pitched it, this is gonna be True Detective.
I think this is my least favorite of the elevator pitch ones, because there's just no way. There's no fucking way this is true.
I think this is my favorite of the elevator pitches. Though.
I don't know if it's how it is executed, but come on. Sorry, tell the people what James Gunn said it's gonna be.
Well, the idea behind it is like Green Lanterns have always been treated like space cops, which is not really a great thing. But like, it seems like, I mean, that's what they've always been pitched as. In recent years, Grant Morrison had a pretty good run where he had Hal Jordan be kind of like this whole grounded detective story. But apparently the pitch for this is it's Jon Stewart, the Green Lantern most famous from the Justice League cartoon, and Hal Jordan, the one from the horrible Ryan Reynolds movie. Apparently two very different characters. You got the whole hot shot and the very grounded, the grounded partner or whatever. And I'm assuming they're kind of teaming up to solve some kind of True Detective-esque space crime. This could be, it's another one of those things where on paper,
I mean, I'm sorry.
On paper,
you can't call it True
Detective.
There's no fucking way this show is going to be anything like True Detective. There's no way.
What if it is though? What if it is though?
I don't know how you could. I guess that's my thing. Is how could you possibly have a show with superpowers in it, where these two guys are like two of the most powerful beings in the universe, and it's also like True Detective, a show about two who, like, the whole thing about ignoring the second season, which doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned. But there
was a really good season with Matthew McConaughey. There's another really good season with Marshall Ali.
Yeah,
we all blacked out for that. Whatever happened in between.
There was a whole season about trains for some reason that nobody cares about. But that, like, the whole point of that show is it's about these like people struggling with their humanity, where like these guys are crumbling to like running toward death, really, in a lot of ways. There's no fucking way you could pull off. I'm sorry.
You're saying like
I shouldn't say no way. I would be amazed.
It's like two characters though who very much are kind of running from their past, and their entire point of their characters is the fact that they're supposed to be. There's
a million other buddy cop detective shows that
living
you could have pulled from. I just think True Detective is like a pretty big sell, especially because I think this next season of True Detective is going to be fucking flames. So,
who's the next season of True Detective?
Jodie Foster and Callie Race. So.
Interesting. Okay, that sounds good. Listen, if it's as good as what it's pitched as, that would be awesome.
If it is,
that would be fantastic. Because I mean, also we have seen a very good version of a detective story with Green Lantern, and 2 years ago, one of my book of the year was Far Sector by Green Lantern, which by itself was honestly, to me, that should have been the TV show. That would have been a good. I think it's a
big sell to be like, here's this new character that most people anybody who didn't read that book, because she still hasn't shown up anywhere else, right?
I think she's popped up, but I think the character was kind of more of like an Elseworlds type like kind of vibe. I mean, I think she actually is officially in the main DC universe, but part of me is just like, how about we just leave her alone and let NK come back at some point and maybe make a sequel?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if you're going to do a show, you have to do Hal and Jon Stewart.
Absolutely, you got to start there. I mean, and those two work so well because they're just polar opposites of each other's characters. And if you get the right actors for that, I feel like it can have a lot of fun. I mean, we kind of saw like a very similar dynamic between like Bucky and Falcon. So it's kind of just give me that with space cops and laser rings, and I'm okay. We also have Swamp Thing the movie. All right. And the thing that I'm
most excited, confounding that they're making a Swamp Thing movie, though. It's just weird.
Yeah.
This is after they made a Swamp Thing TV show that nobody watched.
People love Swamp Thing.
They didn't love it enough to watch the fucking TV show.
All right, you know what, audience? I'm making this pledge now. I'm gonna read the Alan Moore series.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna be like, no man, that's the one people are always telling about. Like that's the one people talk about, being like, this character is good. And I hope that it makes sense to me.
My argument in no way is that Swamp Thing is not a good character. My argument is that there's clearly no demand for Swamp Thing shit because we did this already.
I feel like it's a fringe.
It got canceled after 10 episodes.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. It got canceled after the first episode.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah. They aired 10 episodes.
I would be so mad if I was working on a show after the first episode premiered. It's like, yeah, you're canceled. Like, why did you tell me now? I guess. Not
only did it get canceled, it's like it's not on HBO Max. You can't go.
Oh, is it not?
No, you have to go rent this shit.
What? maybe that's on purpose.
And they're like,
now,
we're gonna run it back. We're doing it again,
we're gonna run it
boys.
back with a movie. All right. And speaking of weird nerd fringe shit, let's end it out with what is sure to be the greatest television show of all time. The HBO Max.
I hope for you the show is good, but I think
Booster
it probably
Gold.
won't be, Corey. I'm sorry.
A TV show that I have thought about, dreamed about.
I just feel like Booster Gold might be
for the
too
last
much of a
10 years of
dickhead
my life.
to make a TV show for the masses.
I think the problem with Booster Gold is that the character can't get as good as he can get without carrying him the fuck down.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a pretty hard sell to get off the ground. But I'm interested to see what what are they going to do with this? I want to see what they're going to do with this character because I mean, he is my favorite superhero of the DC universe, bar none. So it's on one hand, I can get a Tom King story Booster Gold and it fucking sucks. On the other hand, I can maybe get like a good Jeff Johns story and it probably won't fucking suck. But it's a character who's so. I'm glad that James Gunn kind of put it this way. He called him a loser, and I'm like, good. You get it from the beginning. It's
That's
guy.
That's his whole thing. Is that he's
an
a
imposter
failure
syndrome.
in the future, so he has to come back to the past to be deified, basically.
He has to come back to the past to be a superhero, but he's also so shit in history that he never remembers actually what happened. He's a fucking janitor from the future,
right? Yeah.
Who becomes back to be a celebrity. It's honestly one of the saddest things, like one of the saddest stories of all time. But
so he hasn't been cast yet, right?
No.
But is he maybe going to be revealed in this Blue Beetle movie?
That's what I was thinking. I was wondering about that because
feels like an after credits type deal.
It feels like an after credits thing because it's like kind of Booster Gold is like part of that Blue Beetle's like story, but he's also a big part of the older Blue Beetle story. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if they're going to bring in Jaime Reyes into that Booster Gold TV show. I'm wondering what they do with this because I think there's a lot of fun directions you can go with this.
Yeah.
As soon as you step past the fact that he's an asshole, because my favorite one of the comics was like he's an asshole who wants a lot of attention, but then he is tasked with this job of basically having to be a hero where no one will know that he's doing it. And I think that's like that was a really fun line to see that character walk, which is the one I got into as a comic. I wasn't into him from the 80s. I didn't really know anything about the character until like the late, I'm not going to say the aughts, the late 2000s. I'm not using that.
It is the thing it's called, but okay.
I don't know. It just sounds weird. Like, whatever. But yeah, no, I think I'm super excited for this DC run. I think the only thing that I was kind of scratching my head at was Swamp Thing. Creature Commandos to me was like, this is going to be a fun cartoon. I was like, that seems fun to me. But for the most part, I'm very excited. I don't want to say morbidly excited to see what Paradise Lost is actually supposed to be.
I think I think this is big talk for a lot of these shows that maybe is more like press release stuff. Like, I can't imagine Paradise Lost is actually going to look a lot like Game of Thrones. Neither do I think Lanterns, like I said, is going to look a lot like True Detective. But I think the idea of a detective show set around two Green Lanterns is like a cool idea.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
If I'm less invested in the Mascara storyline, but it was some of the cooler parts of the Wonder Woman movies, I have to admit.
Agreed.
So if we can get that kind of budget again, it'd be fire.
I mean, it's HBO, so it's whatever the fuck they want to put money into, honestly. Right. But the question is, I mean, like, I'm wondering, and I guess as we wrap this up, I'm wondering who sticks around post this reset button. It doesn't seem like there's any clear indication who's going to be here. I think besides like some of the Peacemaker cast, there's nobody really seems to have any type of like for sure staying power.
It does seem like the people that are still here probably will stick around though if they want to.
Can we get rid of Gal Gadot though? Please?
I don't think so. I mean, unless she wants to leave, but I
just don't like her.
And also, I mean, I don't. When's the next time we're even going to see Wonder Woman? Maybe we get rid of Gal Gadot by like just not having Wonder Woman. And
maybe just kind of like just quiet break up with her, just very much like, oh, I feel like, listen, I've been busy for a while, so see you when I see you kind of vibe. Maybe she'll be in Paradise Lost. Who knows? I was thinking like, I know I want to see the Gal Gadot thing though. Is like, I wonder if they have someone new come in, do they make their mascara be a completely different like vibe kind of thing? Like, I think there's a lot of opportunities to kind of redefine things and kind of see like how much fun you can make with this universe now. I mean, we saw that like especially like with the Batman, how much background world building and how cool they made Gotham look. I think there's a whole lot of opportunity to kind of like reset. It's like a sandbox that has like been minimally touched now. I'm excited to see what James Gunn does with all this.
Yeah.
He seems to really like to lean into the weird shit.
Not that this really means anything, but there is like a ton of stuff on Gal Gadot's IMDb that's in post-production. So for the next few years, she's pretty heavily booked anyway. So, I mean, maybe that's just a case of like two things sort of worked out. Like she's got scheduling conflicts and the James Gunn's probably not super interested in rebooting a Wonder Woman storyline. So
I did notice the only thing that really seems like it's getting a reboot is Superman. Everything else kind of seems like it's a newer thing. We're kind of seem like I think everything seems ambiguous post besides Superman.
Yeah.
And
like, Batman.
And but come on, everyone knew there was going to be a Batman, but like
why? Did anybody know there was going to be another Batman?
Well, there's also going to be another Batman in a movie this year with the Flash. All right. Well, that's enough for talking about DC. Che, do you have anything else to say?
No, man. DC's a fucking disaster. I hope James Gunn's got it figured out, though.
I have hope, and I cannot wait to do this podcast in 10 years and be like, fucking James Gunn. God damn.
He did it.
He did it. He broke my spirit.
It's just going to be weird, though, because I do think we're in store for yet another pretty rough 2023 for DC. I think Shazam could be fun. I think the rest of these movies will probably be, unfortunately, pretty bad. Like, I would love Blue Beetle to be good. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think
it's going to be good. I think that's like one of the hardest things about this. It's like he was given this thing like, okay, by the way, we have to put out 4 movies.
Right.
And it's just like, well, I don't want, but you have to. We can't not put these movies out. Listen, we already canceled 1. We cannot do any more.
Yeah. Also, The Flash is just going to be, like, that's going to be
weird.
A bomb, like a nuclear bomb, right?
It's not, yeah, like, I don't think so. I mean, I don't even know like how much regular people know about how Ezra Miller's fucking insane, but
I think the Ezra Miller story has been pretty well documented. I don't think people will be surprised by that. It's just going to come out a lot more. Yeah. I don't know if that's going to affect the sales of the movie. I don't think people really give a shit about that. But I do think that there's no way that movie is pieced together. Like, there's no way that movie hasn't been reshot and re-edited to death and is going to be like a coherent piece of cinema. There's no way.
No way in hell.
Yeah.
But
2024 though, that's the year of DC.
2024. Let's go. We got God. Just keep doing it every fucking year, man. I think the first thing I did see from him though, at least movie wise, I think it's supposed to start with Superman in 2025. So, and I'm assuming some of these TV shows are going to come out in between, but I think, damn, that's like 2 years. It's like it's kind of, it's a long time. We're gonna be 32, Che. All right.
Don't say that to me ever again. How about that?
All right, no problem. Well, you guys should definitely check out our next episode coming up. Swordfish is going to be a lot of fucking fun to talk about. I'm very excited to start losing my mind.
Yeah, don't forget, go check us out all over the podcast platforms if you haven't already. If you're on the YouTube channel, don't forget to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Anything else for the people, Corey? I've been Che.
I've been Corey.
We'll see you guys next time.
I don't know why I chose to drink right then. I knew it was coming up, and I was like, let me take a sip. It was like, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with me. I'm sorry, guys. See you next time.